For all my fellow podcasters out there, at some point you've got to realize who your core audience is, who you're attracting to the show, and who you're doing this for. Why are you doing this? I've talked a lot about the why, the motivation. I've had previous episodes about discovering your core values or your immutable laws, running your podcast like a business, running your podcast like a ministry, running your podcast like a nonprofit. I've covered it all on this show, and I've had a lot of revelations since I came back here in 2026, taking that long break. That's what this episode is going to be about today. Okay, we're just going to talk to the podcasters out there. I know there's quite a few of you that are, really just kind of diehard supporters of the show. You asked me in the break, man, when you coming back, all that stuff. And honestly, too, this is going to be something I think that my regular subscribers, the loyal folks that see me in the hallways, see me in the parking lot, or see me out and about, you know, tell me that I'm doing a good job or that they listened to the last episode and they got some nuggets out of it. This is for y'all too. So, if you're still here, if you didn't check out, if you're not a podcaster or a listener, please stay. Maybe you'll learn something. But, podcasters, going back to you guys, okay? All of us have talked about the game of putting out content. We've talked about adjusting things when we see that certain things aren't working or they aren't. Another way to say that is they're not landing with people the way we want them to. It is extremely challenging. I'm difficult, just hands down. Probably one of the most difficult things as an artist or a creator is for you to figure out what the perception is of what you're putting out there, right? We have this idea in our minds of what we're going to say or what we're going to do on these platforms. We get it out there, and we're kind of like comedians in a room or screenwriters where we're putting stuff out and we're seeing what sticks to the wall, right? Like what's going to stick or what's going to land with our people. I've had a lot of reps and a lot of time to figure that out, right? And I would say too that saying figure it out or I've figured it out, I don't want to get that twisted at all. I have not figured it out. I have not arrived. I am still just figuring this out as I go and building this plane as it's flying. Still, I think it was over 2 years ago that I said that on this podcast, building it while it's flying. And I still am. I'm still figuring it out. But I will tell you some insights that I have learned as I've done everything from like the deep dive into the YouTube analytics to the Instagram metrics. I don't really touch Facebook. LinkedIn, I just kind of do it because some of our guests are more present on LinkedIn, and there are people that only use LinkedIn for professional use, and we talk about professional things, so I want them to see. But I've done that deep dive, everything from the deep dive to how we're doing, what the analytics are. I've had some people reach out to me that do SEO or do content marketing. They're involved in other podcasts. They're telling me, my SEO needs improvement, that I've been consistent. Some of them I do believe have actually watched some of the episodes, and they're genuinely complimentary of what we're doing, but they want me to pay them to figure some stuff out so that we can start attracting new people. I've kind of done it all in regards to the research and how I'm doing and figuring out, and I'm sure there's still a lot of things that I still need to do, but I know when I release certain episodes, I know that it's only going to go so far, right? I get a lot of views from non-subscribers, and very few of those convert to actually becoming followers, like if it's on Instagram or subscribers on YouTube. And that used to eat at me a lot. I used to evaluate myself and go, gosh, what is it about me that people are willing to at least click and watch, but within the first 10 seconds, they've dropped off? And I've had to really evaluate that and get perspective from other creators. And then also like my listeners that I've asked, hey, what keeps you coming back? What's interesting to you? And really where I've decided to leave that for now, when I see that I have a reel that got 300 something views on its own, whether it's via the hashtags I used or it was reposted by a couple of subscribers or followers that actually follow the show, when I start to dig down into the metrics of who saw it, where they dropped off in the reel, all that stuff, I'm usually landing about, there's like 3% of those views actually watched it to the end. And sometimes it's even worse. It's 1%. And I feel like Instagram's showing me 1% because maybe it was less and they don't have a value for less than 1% actually stayed till the end of the video. But I had to evaluate a lot of that and go, gosh, what is it about me? And what I've figured out is that I absolutely need to own the content that I put out. I need to own the quality. I need to own the consistency. But there's a lot that I cannot control and that I will never be able to control once it gets posted out there. I had to evaluate my own behavior with shows that I follow and I watch. And I'll tell you, the psychology of liking and reposting and engagement and sharing and subscribing, I know we're all still doing research on that. We're all trying to figure it out. But here's the conclusion that I've kind of arrived to today, this week, could change tomorrow when I learn more new information. But it's not me, it's them. Okay. It's not you, podcaster, content creator, it's them. Okay. I know that is typically used in relationship topics and in the context of romantic relationships, like when they break up with you, oh, it's not you, it's them or whatever. But truly, we've got a lot of challenges on our hands as people who participate in social media, okay? And our attention is constantly being uh, you know, there's constant pull for our attention, right? And so if you're not getting the attention that you think you should be getting, I believe a larger part of that is on the people, not necessarily on you as a content creator. Give you a few examples. There are creators that I see come up in my feed, and I kind of have a personal rule too, where if, for example, if one of John's reels from I-70, if he's one of the first people I see, I will usually just double tap the thing. Sometimes I don't even watch the whole reel. Most of the time I do. From creators like John, we got Gabriel, we got the guys from OLM, Sprinkle Some Salt, plenty of other folks that I am not naming right now, and it's just because I got a thought I'm pursuing. So if I'm not naming you, I apologize. I still love you. But there are people that I'm just ride or die with those folks. And if I see it, if it comes across my feed, I'm going to like it. Okay. And I think that's happening with some of my content as well. Like when I see the percentage of likes and like how many likers actually watch to the end, very few are actually going to the very end. They're not getting the whole piece of the reel. So I know there's people that are ride or dies for me as well. So there's that going on. There are some that like I will just get pulled away. So a lot of my social media surfing, it happens between parenting tasks. It happens sometimes, the break at work, right? And you all, I know when you all have to take a number two at work, I know you pull your phone out. I know you do. Let's all be honest about it, okay? Guys in the restroom, I've been seeing you pull out your phones standing at the urinal lately. That's hilarious to me, right? But I know at some point I'm probably going to end up doing that too, right? Because like I'm not above anybody, but we're all getting in our social media intake just everywhere throughout life, right? And so sometimes, we get pulled away from things. We come back, we don't have a chance to like, subscribe, or whatever. But podcasters, I think we put way too much pressure on ourselves and our audiences to like, subscribe, and share. Notice, maybe you don't notice, I've stopped saying that. It's been at least 20, 30 episodes before I asked anybody, like, subscribe, share, remember all that stuff, because I just got tired of doing it. And I noticed folks don't necessarily do that, okay? Some will, but everybody knows by now to subscribe to podcasts they like. Everybody knows by now to actually share, repost, do those things. People know. They don't necessarily need to be reminded anymore. So I stopped saying it. And when I stopped saying it, that really took a lot of pressure off of myself. And I actually kind of like the way it feels now, just doing this podcast for the listeners, the subscribers. But I had to evaluate, going back to that point, right? I had to evaluate my own behavior and say, you know what? I can't even keep up anymore. I can't keep up. I have a lot of really good, solid connections, especially in this local podcasting scene here in Kansas City. And there's also people, there's family members and stuff, and they're all mixed in there too, right? And so I do believe that we're finding that there is a sort of social media fatigue because we can't keep up. We just can't. There are people like, I want to support you all the time. I want to like, share, repost everything that you do. But odds are, and what I'm finding the reality is, it's not even the odds anymore. Let's just be real, is that I can't, because I can't be plugged into this thing all the time. And I don't expect any of my subscribers, followers of the show, I don't expect you to be there either. Okay. And I'm sorry, those closest to me, family members, friends, coworkers, fellow podcasting peers, like, I apologize. I repent from pressure that I put on you in the beginning to subscribe and share and comment and all those things. That actually is, it's a lot more to ask of people these days. I know it's very popular. Sorry, I know, hot take podcasters, we say it all the time. It costs you nothing. It costs you nothing to subscribe to the show. It costs you nothing to like the show. It costs you nothing to repost. Well, what if we're all just super tired? And what if we're reaching an inflection point where we're tired of being attached to these things all the time? I told people recently, I've been going through the comfort crisis. I know now that it's more than just social media, what these things have done to us, right? We are clinically addicted to these. And if you have not come to admit that yet about yourself, you're either one of the very few that are honestly not addicted to these devices and these screens, or you likely haven't done a deep enough dive yet into your screen time, diagnosing, analyzing, looking at how much time you spend in your apps and why you go to those things. These things, remember, they say if it's free, you're the product, right? All the social media stuff is free. So to go back to that point I just made, just to the podcasters in the room, I would invite you to explore the demands that you're putting on your subscribers, demands you're putting on followers, and the way that you create these level of support or support thresholds in your own mind as to who's on board with you and who's not. That's another dangerous way to think. And I have personal experience with that. I remember when I started my LLC, when I started my podcast, I had a lot of anger in the first few months of that, for the people that I thought were going to support it and then ended up not supporting it or ended up not caring. Or every time I brought it up, they obviously wanted to talk about something else. I had resentment for those folks. And I don't think that was fair. I have thought about that a lot. I've asked for forgiveness from a couple of folks as well, that I realized that I put a strain on the relationship because I didn't see enough support for what I was doing, and I took that personally. But man, guys, we've got to start having more grace for our audience. We've got to start having more grace for the people that may want to subscribe to our podcast one day. We've got to stop putting that pressure to like, subscribe, share, repost, all that. We've got to, because and I say we've got to. See, now I went from saying I would encourage you to explore that to here's what I think you need to do, because I know the road that leads to is burnout. Looking at your metrics, looking at your analytics too much, getting praise verbally, but not seeing it show up via subscription or likes, reposts, all that. That is a great way to get yourself to burn out real quick, real quick. And guys, gals, I don't know what the answer is for that for you, but I would encourage you, if you are focusing too much on your metrics, to find ways to pause, find ways to get out in nature. Give me a call. A lot of you folks have my cell number. Use your phone as a phone. Call me to talk through it. I'd be more than happy to listen. If you want me to share insights, vent, be a sounding board, whatever. My fellow podcasters, you all know who you are. I've named a lot of you. You want to talk? Let's talk, okay, about what I'm learning here. Um, all that now to pivot to the listeners, those getting into this show, the 10 of you that listen to my solo episodes within the first 24 hours, God bless you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Um, I don't expect to have your support forever. I don't expect you to repost everything, like things out of habit or feeling like that's how you need to show up for me in our friendship, in our relationship. A lot of you people, I mean, this is directly to those of you who give me feedback, one-to-one feedback after the episodes. I don't expect that forever. And I appreciate all that you've done for this show up to this point. I'm going into this new era where I've got I'm in it now. I'm not going into it anymore, but I'm getting my reps in. I'm getting my reps in. I'm recording this. Didn't know what I was going to say at first, but now obviously being about what is that, 16 minutes in, I know what I'm talking about now. But I appreciate all of you for supporting us up to this point, and I do hope that you'll stick around as well. I do. When I tell you all, the loyal subscribers, the ones who keep in touch with me, the ones who constantly get in the Instagram stories, all of you guests who have been on the show and continue to check in, like I mean it when I say like give me your feedback. I want your feedback. I want ideas for show topics, things you want to talk about. I'm also more open now than ever to folks outside of Kansas City, as I've said before. And we are going to have our first guest from another state come on the show here in the next month. And I think it's going to be an awesome conversation. I can't wait to have it. But, you know, I just want to thank you. Thank you, listeners, subscribers, a lot of folks that I work with in my full time role that I'm, so stoked to be a part of. I see you in the hallways. I see you, at your cubes. And I just so appreciate it when you say, hey, I saw you had this episode. I listened to it. Or so and so listened to it. Or my spouse listened to it and really appreciated it. That stuff is so awesome. I don't expect that forever. Right. And I just appreciate you for just tuning in and listening to me kind of process what I'm going through, what I'm learning on these solo episodes. It's incredible. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here and get on to recording the next episode. But again, if I could just leave you with two notes, if you're still listening. Number one, to the subscribers, listeners, thank you for engaging. I'm not going to ask you to like, subscribe, and share because you're already here. You're already doing that, and you've already done enough for this show. And I thoroughly appreciate that. If you want to stay in the journey with me for however long, that's great. I don't expect you to stick around forever. Okay. I know interests change, all that. And number two, the podcasters out there. I really think we need to stop putting all the pressure on ourselves. And I think we need to have fun again. I think we need to treat ourselves like artists. I think that we need to show up with our whole selves to this. I do think we need to go through and push. We need to push through when we're not feeling like it. We need to stay disciplined. We need to, there's days where you're not going to have an amazing episode, but I do believe we need to stop putting so much pressure on the masses to get those subscriber counts up and all that. We've got to stop doing that. I think that those people will come eventually because we will continue to just find the right people, our right audience, and be thankful to podcasters for the audience that you have, for the people that you have in your corner. Focus on those people. Focus on the 3% that stick through and watch all your reels. That's huge. That's great, right? I've said it before. If you had a room full of, 20 people that watched the reel and 5 people gave it a thumbs up, that's really the equivalent of doing a little mini TED talk to somebody and watching heads nod and seeing it land. We just can't see them when they're, scrolling while they make their dinner or they're taking a dump or waiting in the parking lot to pick their kid up from school. We can't see them when they do that stuff. And so that's what makes it hard. So know that people are in your corner. I'm in your corner. And keep tuning in for these solo episodes, and we'll see where these take us. Appreciate y'all.